You guys know I pushed the Panther platform pretty strong on this channel. This one's even more special than that because it's been associated with lots of dead people, very likely. Let's find out why. Let's get started.
Dead people, Wizard? How does that make this a special edition?
Well, Halloween is upon us. I thought it'd be really cool to do a video, well, not about dead people, but this is Eurasian Bob's 2000 Lincoln Town Car Cartier L. And there's some features on here we'll show you here in a little bit that pretty much designates it was very likely a funeral home car. I sent pictures of this to Cadillac Pat, who is Home of Chrome, also a good friend of mine who spent many years, like decades, working in funeral homes. And he's looked at this and I showed him the features and he goes, yeah, that's probably was either a lead car where the funeral director led the procession, or it could have been a family hauler and carried the family to the gravesite. There's also some other features that this car has that definitely designates it as limousine or hearse service. So, also one last thing, a little tidbit I want to give you. It only has 45,000 miles on it, and it is 24 years old. That's really low miles. Let's take a look around this thing. So up front here, it looks like a typical Lincoln Town Car, nothing too special or out of the ordinary. But as we come around to the side, you'll notice the sidewalls on these tires look really tall. You wonder, maybe they got the wrong tires on there. No, on the Cartier L, it has limousine and hearse series tires. These are 225/70 SR16. You can see as we go down the side, it is sparkling clean. It is very nice. You can see some extra width right here. This is where they made this vehicle longer. It's about 6 inches or so there. That way they could use the back glass and everything without modification. It is the Cartier L, designated there on the side. And around the back is your typical Lincoln Town Car fanfare. Nothing, again, too special or anything back here. But it definitely looks like a brand new car. Let's go ahead and jump under the hood and start diving into these specialty features that it has. Alright guys, here's the first feature that indicates it was very likely funeral service. I'll flip the switch now. There we go. No, that's not for police officer type things going on. This is an extended limousine type car. I'll turn it off and open the hood. The first thing I noticed when I looked under the hood earlier is all these wires. And then when I went to the module that they connect to and read the label, it clearly says it is a headlight flasher. So that's definitely something added by a funeral home, very likely. Here's our 4.6 liter single overhead cam, modular V8. These have a little bit more power than a standard town car because it's so long they had some freer flowing exhaust and things that Bob informed me about, but it's very clean under here. There's a battery tender. Very likely it's set in storage until it was needed for service, so they kept the battery charged that way. We still see even the labels on the ignition coils, Motorcraft. Most of all the labels from the factory are still present and still legible on this car. Other than that feature and a few other things that indicate what it was used for, it's pretty much immaculate under the hood. It doesn't need anything. We did do an oil change, but it's like a brand new car underneath here. Now we're going to see some other cool features. Mrs. Wizard is going to take you guys to the front and the back seat. Really cool features this car has. Take it away, Mrs. Wizard.
Okay, ladies and gents, 45,983.4 miles. I love it. Gonna take our hand off there. And maybe it doesn't get the best fuel economy, at least on maybe some of the last few trips at 17.8, but this is a big car, so I wouldn't expect it to get, Honda Accord mileage. But I love this gauge cluster. It is so pristine. No dust, nothing going on. Let's go ahead and move up. You'll see everything in here is going to look new because this was kept in the garage. There is no blistering, there's nothing crazy going on. Our wood grain looks very nice, it's not broken. I love the gold trimmed analog clock in our center section, but our radio simple buttons and a lot of buttons, and it's very classic design to a Lincoln or a Ford car. So we move down, HVAC system. It's actually probably a little bit more simplified from other cars we've seen from this era, but very easy to use. Down below, go ahead and give this a nice little tug, because it's probably not come out too many times. I mean, who drinks a beverage going to a funeral? That's weird. But we have a ashtray, we have a cigarette lighter, or we would call that a charge port more today, and of course 2 cup holders. It can hold 6 people. It does have the armrest that does raise up and does have a seat belt underneath. So it could haul 6 people. Got a simple center console, and again, probably nothing was ever kept in here, because why would you? It's a funeral home car. These seats feel like you're riding around on a sofa. They are so soft. There is no bolster because you're not flying around the corners, especially if you're going to a funeral. But nonetheless, everything is in immaculate shape, and I love the nice personalized stitching in the center section of the backrest. There's a lot of dove gray, soft gray, light gray. That's just what you're getting in this car. But we've got the Cartier on the door pull right there, and we've got the lovely Lincoln symbol there as well. We do have a fun little hidey hole in that armrest as well, and again, everything is in great shape. And we have, if you notice, we have heated seats, top and bottom. Now, let's go to the back seat. Yes, we are in the back seat because we can't show the luxury of this car from the front seat. But if you notice, look how much leg room there is. I'm a tall person, I'm 5'9", and look, I've got so much space I could really stretch out. It has a floor mat that goes across both sides. We have map holders on the back of both seats, and you can notice that there is that extra width added to the door right there in that B pillar. Looking at that door card, you'll notice that we have more heated seats, and it looks very similar to what we saw in the front seat, which it does have a small ashtray and a small map holder there as well. Seats are very comfortable again because they're nice soft dove leather, no bolster, we don't need it, and it does have some room here for that 6th person, but they have this lovely armrest in the center where we can adjust the bottom part of our seat backward and forward. We can also control lots of things like our temperature, our fan, and the radio as well. As we lift this up, one thing that's really cool is it stays up. You don't have to hold it. The hinge holds it wherever you put it, but it has a nice little mat here that's kind of rubberized. It has 2 aux ports right here, and it also has this little spot right here and on each side. So when we close this lid, it allows you to have your cords coming out without pinching them. Notice that the lid still has the foam nicely here, and it's in great shape. Foam has such a short life usually. But there is on that side where we can go in with that cord. So what a nice little feature they have added. If we look up to the front, you can see how far it truly is up to that front seat and to that steering wheel. It's a long ways up there. But if we go up here to our headliner, whoa, what's this? That is right. We have a mirror with lighted mirror on this side and on that side. So what a nice feature they have added to make sure that the person riding in the back, at least when we are hopefully going somewhere other than a funeral, is looking, their best. So enough of this interior talk. Let's get this thing up in the air and see what it looks like on the underneath.
So you guys had fun with Mrs. Wizard in the back seat, I'm sure. But any of you that had any of these Lincoln Town cars of this era know that you can't just jack it up or lift it without first turning off the air suspension. When we lower it back down, it could be flat and cause issues, so I'll show you how to do that. Open our trunk. In the back of this trunk, which is very large by the way, there is a switch just for lifting these things in the air since they have rear air suspension. Right over here on the driver's side. There it is. It says if you're going to be jacking it up, turn off the suspension. So I'll do that now. There we go. There's a lot of modern cars today like Mrs. Wizard's Levante that she has. You have to also tell it you're going to be jacking it up in the air, but it's no longer done in the trunk. It's usually through a touchscreen or some sort of infotainment system or something like that in the dash. I know on Bentley Continentals you have to do this, Porsche Panameras, There's a lot of vehicles out there that you have to tell the computer, hey, I'm getting ready to lift you in the air, or it can really piss off the computers. So now we're all set, let's lift this thing up.
So are we going to find any ghosts under here?
Well, it probably did funeral work, and I don't know about ghosts. But speaking of ghosts, don't forget that we have the new channel out, Can You Believe That? There's a link in the description. Go check it out, guys. It's a totally different side of the Car Wizard you've never seen before. Now, I imagine what we're going to see under this car, some minor surface rust, but otherwise like a brand new town car. Let's take a look. And a few little bugs and things. It does have 45,000 miles on it, but nothing out of the ordinary there. And under here we see no leaks. We just did a fresh oil change on it, so it's been serviced. The belt is in good condition. No coolant, no oil, no power steering fluid, nothing pouring out of any orifices anywhere. Let's check out these brakes. They got about 50 to 60% remaining, but plenty of life left. Sway bar links are good. Nothing loose or jiggling. Ball joints look fine. Nothing loose. And our shocks are not leaking any fluid. Looks like the same story over here. Good brakes. Sway bar link is good. Yeah, nothing going on there as well. This is, I believe, the 4R70 transmission or something, but as you can see, no leaks. Nice and dry. This is a very good transmission. Didn't provide a lot of problems for people. Pretty reliable. Here's our catalytic converters. They're small, but as you can see, as we look back, it does have some more open exhaust, like I mentioned, for a little bit more free flowing. It's not 2-into-1, it's dual all the way back. Even the paint on this cross member is still glossy and shiny. Our big beefy drive shaft. Everything looks good there. So on the drive shaft and exhaust, there's a little bit of surface rust to be expected, but the floor pans are still glossy and shiny. Now this extra 6 inches of leg room, or the length of the car, where would you find that in the floor pan? And I actually found it. It's right here. You can see right here this little strap on both sides was added to give the extra length for the car. So they just spliced it in there. Pretty much everything you're seeing underneath here, as far as the suspension, the drivetrain, the chassis, everything is Panther platform. That is Ford Crown Victoria, Mercury Grand Marquis, and also Lincoln Town Car. They all share all the same stuff underneath. That's why it's called a platform. As we get back to the back, the rear axle has, to be expected, a little surface rust. Here's our exhaust. Everything's intact. There's our air springs. No cracks, no tears. Everything looks good. Our shock here is dry, not leaking. The brakes are about 60% remaining. Nothing leaking there. Differential is dry. Brakes are good over here. Nothing leaking, everything's nice and tight. One nice thing about these is that you don't have to drop the tank to do a fuel pump. There's actually an access panel on the side. Obviously you're going to drain the gas out when you do that, but you just pull it out right here. You don't have to drop anything. No axles, no fuel tanks, nothing. I really like that. And here's our charcoal canister for the emission system, and we do have some, it looks like little cherry bomb glass pack shaped mufflers, resonators in the back. That's all factory. This stuff you don't really find on the standard town cars. This is kind of a different setup for the Cartier L, which also gives it a little bit more power. Let's check the date codes on those really beefy tires. So being that this is a 24-year-old car, it could literally have 24-year-old tires on it. I've seen it before. Luckily, that's not the case here. 19th week of 2021, so these are only 3 years old. They are good tires. No ghosts, nothing scary. I'm glad. If you want to hear about ghosts, again, go check out Can You Believe That, our new channel. Let's get this thing on the ground. So like I mentioned, this is Eurasian Bob's Cartier L. It's for sale. If you'd like to contact him and purchase this, there's a link in the description to get a hold of him. He'll take care of all the questions and pricing and all that. But why is it here? The reason why is because it needed an oil change and all 4 rotors were resurfaced. The pads are still quite thick, so we just resurfaced them. and it's got nice smooth brakes. It had a little bit of pulsation going on, now that is gone. So it's fully serviced, it's ready to hit the road with nice smooth brakes. Speaking of rotors, there's many times where resurfacing is an advantageous thing, can save you a little money. If the rotors are $200 a piece and it just needs resurfaced, you can get them resurfaced for $15, $20 a piece, which is kind of what we do here. There are times though when it's 15 or 20 bucks to resurface them, or 20 bucks for a brand new rotor. Why bother? Because when you resurface them, you take the minimum thickness even closer and closer. You're actually removing material. At some point, you will no longer be able to remove any material. Sometimes we take a measurement. If it's really close to the minimum thickness, we just replace them. There's no sense in resurfacing and making it really paper thin. There is a Mercedes in the shop, at AMG 63 right now, that the rotors are way high. We'll be doing a video on that showing you how crazy brake jobs can cost on those. It's coming up soon. This one was resurfaced because it just made sense, and it's smooth again. It had nice thick rotors. It just needed a little skim off of them. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on any of these cars in the shop, or that we use to work on this Cartier L, check our Amazon affiliate link in the description below. We get a small cut if you purchase anything. A lot of the tools we have in the shop are for sale there. Really appreciate it if you do purchase anything. And make sure to hit the subscribe button here, because there's many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.